this isn't the Bod Haunted group, so we're gonna make that go away. And
Yeah, I know.
Make all you lovely people go away. There we are. Hi, stream.
Hello, everyone. So, stream, we are here live at TogetherCon, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, we had a fantastic virtual convention called TogetherCon, which was all safe, and it was in our Discord, so hopefully we will see you next year.
Yeah.
I am Tina the Bard here with Real Women of Gaming, and we are about to start a new panel. That panel is Anime for Newbies, so we're going to talk a little bit about anime. And I'm on staff here for Real Women of Gaming. I'm a content writer.
She
and
is
some other
actually one of the
stuff and
boss
things.
ladies now.
Mm-hmm.
Thea got a promotion. She
Yeah.
loves it when I tell everybody.
Yeah.
You'll stab me in my sleep and I'll deserve it. It's fine.
And this is Crimson Pleasure. She is our foundress, and she does so many stuff and things. And so she is going to be helping me out. So if there are any questions, either in the panel room or in the panel chat, or here on stream, type them away. Let us know what you need.
Riley says, how's that promotion treating you?
It's great. Blink twice for help. I'm kidding. I love it. I've been a part of, just to segue for a quick second, I'm so sorry, everybody, but I've been a part of Real One with Gaming for over 6 years now. It's going to be my 7-year anniversary, and I love it. My life's a lot better for it. So
is ours.
Very excited. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we are going to, yes. Okay.
Cethea's happy to be in charge, and I'm just sat here like, well, I guess I'm here. That's for now, Riley. That's just for now.
Live. There we go. Okay. So. I'm doing things without my glasses on. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. See, when I put my glasses on, I look like some evil anime character because of the glare. So I've been trying to keep them off, but then it's very difficult for me to do what I need to do. Where's the thing?
Thea is looking fine.
Thank you. You're amazing. Present. There we go. That's what we want to do. All right. So here we go. This is Anime 101. So, how are you feeling about anime? Or are you new to it? Are you just looking for something different? Unsure where to start? There's no need to be nervous. That is a picture of me from our first convention that I went to, which was ZenkaiCon. And let's go. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the idea of starting anime, generally what I would say to do is to pick a genre. Kind of figure out, freedom, I swear. Usually I think that's a little bit more helpful, and it makes it a little bit easier because anime has been around for a very, very long time. It's been around since the early 1900s, and there is a lot of it. Anime is essentially anything that is a hand-drawn or computer animated feature from Japan. That is the very basic term. So it's easy to feel like I don't even know where to start, or to hear terms or things like that you don't understand. So that's what we're going to try and talk about a little bit here. So let's talk a little bit about some genres. So we have Shonen, which is a more action-based anime that's kind of like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, or My Hero Academia. I'm going to kind of fly through these a little bit because we're going to talk some more. But if you have a question or a comment, zip it on in, y'all. Shoujo is a more relationship and emotion-based, kind of like Sailor Moon. And these are for like all different ages. So dependent on the anime. Some of them are more appropriate for younger kids than other ones. Like if you're trying to figure out one to start off like a younger kid with, you know, and you want to do something that's got like a little bit more magic and like a little bit more about like the power of friendship or something like that.
And you
And
don't want
like
to watch My Little Pony.
you could watch like Sailor Moon, or you could watch Cardcaptor Sakura. But yeah, My Little Pony is also awesome.
I did watch Sailor Moon when I was younger, when it was on the regular TVs.
Mm-hmm. So did I. That was actually my first anime. It was my gateway drug in anime.
Yep, we've all got one.
And it shows, if you know me. Saiyan, that's like the more adult version of shonen. So all the characters are adults, and instead of like the optimistic kind of young adult, like, you know, instead of like Izuku Midoriya being like, I'm gonna be the best hero ever, it would be more centered on like Eraserhead being like, I'm gonna drop a ball on these kids and I can never let anybody know how much I love them, you know. So that would be more like Ghost in the Shell, that kind of an anime. Josei is, again, the more adult version of shoujo. So it's more about like heartbreak and adult themes and relationships. So that's like Honey and Clover. That would be a good one for if you're looking for that. And I know that this is something that we've talked about with like Kink Nightmare. That Kinky always wants to find an anime where it's not all just kids. So looking for more of these kind of animes would be, pardon me, like more up her alley. And then Isekai is a more fantasy style of anime. Often the protagonist ends up in a different world with fantasy themes. So like Spirited Away or Inuyasha, Magic Knight Rayearth, Escaflowne, or even, oh my gosh, you know what, I'm going to get back to that one later, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's usually got a lot of fantasy themes, but it could also be something where, like, you're sucked into a game, because there was a whole series about that was really cool. Ichi, okay, so this one gets a little complicated. So it is not pornographic, but it is very suggestive. There's a lot of what people would call fan service. It's very adult. Very adult. And it's what is considered an appropriate level of sexiness to be out in the public for adults in Japan. So just bear that in mind if you're looking for one of those. But there is still a storyline. There's still going to be a whole bunch of plot happening. So that's like High School of the Dead. That's a really good version.
When you were describing it, the first thing that popped in my mind was High School of the Dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%
all right.
fan service.
And now we'll get to mecha. So robots that are flying. Political intrigue with robots. Yeah, it's the robots. It's those big, like, almost looks like Transformers. That would be like all of the Gundam series. I am a big fan of mecha ones. A harem. So that usually has a male character with a group of female characters that have different personalities, but for some reason all fall head over heels in love with that character. There can also be a reverse harem. Yes. So like Tenchi Muyo, perfect example of a classic harem anime. Slice of life, that celebrates the kind of mundane parts of life, the normal parts of it. There is still drama, there's still a plot, it's just that, like, there aren't villains and there isn't magic. It's the normal things that are happening in your workplace or in your school. So now, let's talk a little bit more about anime. how are we doing? Do you have any questions or comments before I...
So Iris says, evil anime character, what are you not telling us about your backstory, Thea? And I love My Hero Academia and the anime adaptation of Ace Attorney, but I haven't gotten into others yet.
Ooh, Ace Attorney is one that I want to try. And I don't think we've gotten far enough in the episode arcs for my backstory.
Yeah.
So,
Riley says, I just want to watch the fabulous figure skaters you showed me.
We will watch Yuri on Ice, I promise.
And Z-Bakes says Konosuba and Log Horizon are for recent Seke.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I love the recommendations. I can't wait to go back and look at them.
Yay.
All right, so now we've talked a little bit about the broad strokes of genres. All of this, I'm not going super into detail as much as we could. One, because we only have 1 hour, and two, because there's a lot, and I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to talk back and forth. So now we're going to talk about some anime. For if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, okay, I get the genres, but I'm still not entirely sure what I want. Here are some good ones that you can kind of start off with. So, magic transforming kids. It's a classic. A classic trope. We love it. Like I said, it's how I got started. I seriously thought that that could be a thing in my life. And then I grew up, and it still isn't. So, whatever. So you've got like Sailor Moon, Magic Knight Rayearth, Cardcaptor Sakura, Pretty Cure are some popular examples. And those are some really good examples of like a shoujo anime. So they're going to be a little bit more romantic. And I love them. Like most of those anime are ones that I watched a lot, that I watched with my friends, that maybe we wrote fan fiction on. Let's not get too far into that though. But if you're looking for something that is a little bit more shonen, we do have like Samurai Troopers, Ronin Warriors. It is an earlier anime. I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. There was a thing that happened with anime when it came from Japan to America in like the 90s, early 2000s, is that they would take it, and it happened with a lot of horror movies too. They would kind of Americanize all the names. They would take away some of the plot. They just made it very American. So that happened.
Donuts.
Hmm?
Those aren't donuts in Pokemon.
Oh. Fancy. So Sailor Moon and Ronin Warriors were ones that really happened with. Also Cardcaptor Sakura. And they're fine. You know, if you are looking for an anime to get you started into anime, it's fine. It's totally acceptable to watch those. Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura both have remakes that have been done. So Sailor Moon Crystal, and there's a whole other Cardcaptor Sakura. The art animation style is a little bit different, and it's truer. It's just truer to the manga. There are people who are purists and they get really angry about these things. But again, it's your anime. So find something that you like and go on from there. Did somebody just come in? There shouldn't be gatekeeping with it. So if you're looking for something where guys are going to transform and then they're going to fight evil, watch Ronin Warriors. It's cool. It'll be fine. You could also watch a dub, which will be a little bit closer to the original storyline. And we'll talk about dubbed and subbed a little bit more later. Another really neat anime, which kind of plays with the trope of kids having magic and transforming and becoming like warriors, is Cute Earth Defense Club. And Magical Girl Ore. So Magical Girl Ore is one that I haven't gotten to watch yet, but I found out about through doing research for the panel. So these are a bunch of teenage girls, and there is, of course, a peril, and through a bunch of crazy circumstances, when they go to transform with the power of love and friendship, they turn into these big, beefy dudes. And that is how they fight people. So it's neat because it's an anime that is all about magic kids transforming, but then also kind of playing around with gender themes and like who you fall in love with, who you're attracted to, and what does that mean. So those are some neat ones about kids transforming.
Z-Bake said, seen it, LOL, it's weird. And I'm assuming
Is it?
about the one that you haven't seen yet.
Oh, yeah. The Magic Ore. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but I really liked the idea behind it, so I wanted to include it because it was totally different. But it does seem like it's going to be a little different. And we were talking a little bit about the difference between a sub and dub. So what happens is anime gets made in Japan, obviously. They go ahead, they illustrated how they're going to do it either by hand or computer or a combination of both. And then you get voice actors, which is fantastic. So obviously when it's in Japan, your voice actors are Japanese. And then when it comes to like America and the UK and places like that, your voice actors are English speaking. And for the reasons that I said before about what America did with the storylines and how they changed the lines, that we're thankfully getting a lot better about, a lot of folks do not like dubbed. So a dubbed is when an English-speaking voice actor will say all the lines that they are given by the American crew. I still think it's totally valid. This is a discussion that Crimson and I have had with other people. Mm-hmm. It can be really difficult for me to read a lot, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're so lazy, but I'm not. Like, I also usually am doing about 3 other things while I'm watching anime. And with my dyslexia, it can get tough. It gives me a headache sometimes, or if we're talking about something like My Hero Academia or Gundam Wing. So you've got people talking, you've got music going, you've got a fight scene happening, and I still have to read everything that's happening at the bottom of the screen. It just is a lot. I also like sub versions. I think that they are totally valid. And so then the sub means subtitle. So you'll have the Japanese voice actors, the original voice actors, and all of their lines are at the bottom of the screen. It's just like watching any kind of a foreign movie. And it's fun, and it's neat to hear how they do it and to see how the storyline is different.
There's a lot of yelling.
There is a lot of yelling.
A lot of yelling.
But I also think that both are totally valid. Crimson, do you have thoughts?
I only watch dubbed. I can't watch subtitled. My ADHD kicks in. I can't watch what's happening on the screen at the same time that I am reading it, and I get very confused, and then I don't watch anymore, or it'll give me a headache because I'm trying to do both at once. Also, I used to get migraines with reading too many subtitles, so yeah. But I will tell you this: if you don't want to be crazy, never, ever watched dubbed with the subtitles on. Never, ever. Nothing makes sense. They're not saying the same thing.
I do use subtitles for things, but that is because I live near an airbase, so it gets very loud. So sometimes I put it down. But if I was not living here, no. Because it doesn't always match up. But again, a lot of the newer ones are getting better.
Yes.
But it's also just a matter of you're translating a language to a different language, and then you're trying to make it work with the slang.
Yeah.
And also with the cadence of the character's mouth. So their mouths are still moving and everything. So you need to the voice actor and the writer need to be able to be like, oh, okay, they're trying to say, by the power of the moon and love, I will punish you. But how are we going to say it and still make sure that it fits with that?
Mm-hmm.
So it gets challenging. I do not envy them that job.
No.
Any of them.
Especially since we have to remember that in Japanese and English, our words are totally different. So when we say bye, it's bye. But in Japanese, it may be like a 4-syllable word.
Yeah.
And they also have words for specific things in different languages. So, like, I know in Korean, you can say goodbye to your loved one differently, but then the way you say goodbye to your friend. So there's a lot of differences they have to work in there. So recently,
they're all cultural differences. It's just about how you interact with someone who's your friend versus someone who's your classmate versus an upperclassman who is helping tutor you or mentor you in some way versus your teacher versus your parents.
Yeah. Why they called the little rice thingies? I can't forget what they're called. Donuts and Pokemon is because they didn't think that kids would understand what the...
Oh, yeah.
I used to know what they were called.
Yeah.
Kids wouldn't understand that was a snack.
Yeah.
So they gave it a snack name. I'm like,
and that's another thing. So that was, again, Pokemon was around that same time. And I don't understand why American folks who take on anime seem to think that they need to dumb it down for us. We got it. But those are mistakes that have happened in the past. They are trying to rectify it because a lot of folks have been very vocal about it, which is good.
Yeah, very good.
So now, you want robots? We got robots in anime. We got so many robots. Like I said, this would be mecha. So one of my favorite mecha anime is Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. There is also a whole universe of Gundam-themed anime. Japan loves Gundams, which is understandable. I love Gundams. They even have a huge Gundam that they built that moves.
Yeah.
And I think I cried when I saw it.
I'm not a fan of Gundam, but I thought that was fucking awesome.
Because it was the Wing Gundam. It was Hiro's Gundam. And I was just like, I lost my absolute shit. By the way, I'm gonna cuss. So Mobile Suit Gundam Wing is one of my absolute favorite animes. Again, this one's a little bit older, but it's really neat. The storyline's cool because it is about kids, but it's kids dealing with a war. And not only is it just war on Earth, there's war within colonies. So there is a whole bunch of different political intrigue going on. There's a royal family that a whole bunch of weird stuff happened to, sad stuff happened to. There's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of morality that is being talked about for a bunch of 15-year-olds. And whether or not they should even be fighting, and if they could do anything else. There's a fantastic movie that comes afterward, which is called Endless Waltz, which continues a lot of that conversation. And these are both just beautiful, beautiful anime. Gundam Wing, for being as old as it is, just a chef's kiss to look at. And Endless Waltz, because it was just a little bit later, they did animation with snow that blew my mind in high school. I was just like, so definitely give that one a shot. Or if you want to start in the beginning, you can, but they are older. But there's a lot of different mecha anime. So you can always just type that in if that's something that you're interested in. And it's cool stuff. It's good stuff.
Robotech was my first anime, and that's a mecha anime, right?
I think so, yeah. Should be. All right. So let's talk about souped up teenagers. Because we love them. We love them not even just in anime, but I think a lot of us fans do. So, like, if you're a fan of, like, Marvel or DC or Dark Horse, like, if you like superheroes, my friends, my hero's here for you. It is here to make you feel a lot of things. It is one of my current favorite animes, and it's just starting to release season 5. And the manga is still going, so we've got lots of content, which is nice. It is a new anime, which is also nice. I bet y'all were starting to think I didn't watch any new anime, but I do. I tricked you. This is also one that Crimson likes.
Mm-hmm.
So in My Hero Academia, 80% of the population has some sort of superpower called a quirk. And it's been that way for a few generations now. So by the time we get to these wonderful spunky children on the side here, it's just commonplace. The heroes go and they help capture villains, and then they give them to the police. Heroes have very strict rules. They're not allowed to kill. Even if, like, the villain's like, well, I'm gonna blow everything up, and rah, you know, the hero has to be like, okay, let's evacuate the area, and then I'm gonna put restraints on you. Like, they could lose, they get punished. They get punished very severely for killing. And they have to work in tandem with local authorities. They have agencies, and so there's a lot of questions that go with that. Like, what would that school be like? What would it be like if you were a person who doesn't have a quirk? Would you just be considered worthless? What could you do? What could you do in a world where having the flashiest, most powerful quirk is what makes you the most special?
I love that Bakano's grabbing his hair. I just realized that, and I'm like, yeah, that fits the anime so perfectly.
That's why I chose this one. Everybody's just very in character. Everybody's very in character. I was trying to find one without Mineta because we both hate him so much.
Fuck Mineta. The skeeviest of skeeve people.
So there is a trope in anime where there's always an overly perverted character, and I hate it. I want to kill it with fire.
Brock was in Pokemon.
I want to kill it with fire. But there are some where they're so much worse than others, and Mineta is the worst of the worst. Yeah. That is the little grape dude over here. The rest of them we love, we cherish. But My Hero Academia is really neat because it asks a lot of these really big questions. Mm-hmm. And it starts off, I'm not even going to tell you that it starts off light because it really doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I mean, it doesn't punch you like Attack on Titan does in the face.
Right, but... yeah. It's not Attack on Titan harsh, but it's... yeah, it's just really good. It talks a lot about, like, they even have episodes where they talk about female costuming and is it okay to kind of like slut shame a superheroine whose quirk has to do with something where it's easier if she doesn't wear a lot of clothes. Like, so this one, we're going to give you a little spoiler about her because she's amazing and we love her. She creates things, but she needs to have the lipids from her body to do it, and then she pulls them out. So that is why she has the boob window. Yeah. And there are limits to it as well. Like, if she doesn't eat enough, she can't create stuff. She just passes out. This one, she pukes if she does too much. This one's engines backfire. Like, it's neat. I love that as well. But so there's another character who's older. They mostly talk about this with, like, adult characters who are already pro heroes. And her skin gives off this almost like mist that makes people fall asleep. So when she first started, she was wearing very little because it made more sense because then she could just secrete this mist. And then the Hero Commission was like, well, you have to cover up. So now she has like this sheer white stuff with her outfit that she can tear very easily, so then she can help out. But I thought that was really a neat thing to talk about as well, because a lot of us have that conversation about female superheroes and like, is their costume practical, this, that, and then there are times when you have to be like, wow, well, what is their power, and then what makes that practical for them?
Yeah.
It really does talk a lot about different aspects of superhero culture, particularly one that's been around for so long. And it shows a lot of the cracks in the society. It shows the cracks in the school. And I thought that I was here for it, but now it's making me feel a lot of feelings.
Don't make me feel my own feelings.
God damn it, Hiroshi. But I cannot recommend this one enough. I will recommend it to the moon and back. I will
recommend it.
Yeah.
Lana says, what are your thoughts on Makoto Magica?
Makoto Magica. That sounds really familiar.
I don't know that one.
Hold on. This is the problem when you've watched a lot of anime. Oh, they look so cute. They're like little kids. Okay. A girl is offered a wish in exchange for commitment to battling witches, a group of magical beings whose souls have been tainted by darkness. Ooh. And that's from like 2011. Okay, I actually haven't watched this one yet. It's on my list.
Oh, look at her pretty in pink.
I know, they're so cute. I really love magical girl tropes. I always feel kind of bad when they're like, oh, they're evil. But there's also a different way of looking at evil and your soul being tainted in Japan than here in America. So I will get back to you on that.
Be warned that it's a lot darker than you think.
I had a feeling. You know what? Sometimes the brighter an anime looks,
the worse it is.
The darkest it is. You know, at least with like Attack on Titan, everybody jokes about how Attack on Titan is just going to make you sob. But at least you know that go again. Like, you look at the poster for Attack on Titan and you're like, I'm going to get hurt.
I'm going to get hurt. That guy's going to get hurt. That chick over there who nobody knows is going to get hurt. A lot of people are going to get hurt.
We're all going to get hurt. But thank you for that recommendation and that warning. I appreciate that.
Yes, we always appreciate trigger warnings when it comes to anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because let me tell you the story of what happens when nobody gives you a trigger warning.
And I can't see the screen, but I know exactly what you pulled. Because we both have been yelling about it for a year now.
This is what happens when you are not told. A friend of my ex's. No, this isn't anything. I don't know which one you're thinking of. I'm thinking of the Graveyard of the Fireflies. Is that what you're thinking of? It.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Graveyard of the Fireflies. My friend of my ex's was like, "You've got to watch. This is the best anime ever." I was just getting into anime. I was really excited. He said, "This is the best anime ever." I put the anime in the DVD player and I watched it. And I cried for 3 months. Yeah. I'm not kidding. 3 fucking months. Okay?
A friend of mine, one of my best friends, since I was 13 and we're 35 now, she was in an animation class and her teacher put that movie on because he was like, it's a Studio Ghibli film, which we're going to talk about later because we love Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, except for this movie.
Except for that movie. He's like, we're going to watch it because it's important for you to see how he does it. And she's like, oh, great. You know, like, Howl's Moving Castle. Awesome. No. She talks about this movie to this day and tears up. and gets mad
It's
all at the
fucking
same
traumatic.
time.
It's traumatic.
Yeah.
It's not.
She's like, there are certain things that trigger her to think about this movie, and she gets so upset.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you some other ones to watch from Studio Ghibli first. And I'm going to give you a warning that this one's going to rip your soul out, and it's going to stomp on it, and it's going to spit in your face and laugh.
I watched this anime, and I didn't watch anime again for 9 years.
Yeah.
I refused. I was like, if there's anime like this, then I don't want it.
It is a valid anime, and it has a place, because all anime is valid and all of it has a place. It's just a matter of whether or not you are comfortable with it and or you care for that genre, that trope, whatever it is. It's a very important anime because it is the exact opposite of everything else that has come out of Studio Ghibli.
It dictates what happens to children during war-torn times. It's not magical. It's not. There are no mechs. It's real life shit that really happens and has really happened, and it's terrible. It breaks your heart.
What they like to do is take stories about kids who are in trouble, and most of the time, then there's something that helps. There are people that help, there are supernatural creatures that help, all of that stuff. In this one, nobody helps. So it's 2 children who are orphaned from the war, and they die. The youngest one dies. I'm going to spoil it for you. It's just sad. The whole thing is just sad. It's a struggle and it's sad. But it's valid and it's important. So,
yeah.
But that is Grave of the Fireflies.
Never watch.
Yeah. So, Whole New World. This is a little bit more about the, I fell down a well and now I'm in a fantasy trope.
I love Sword Art Online.
So do I. So this is the one that I was like, oh, let me tell you all about it. And then I was like, wait, it's on a slide. So Escaflowne and Inuyasha are a little bit older. They are both valid. They both have rights. I love them both because they both helped me get into this genre and deepened so much my love of anime. They are both amazing. The ending to this still makes me a little mad, but that's fine. This one will love it forever. It is one of my comfort animes. I rewatch it often. Sword Art Online is a newer anime, and it has such a neat concept. So there's a beta version of a game. So all of these folks get this beta version of a game. And to play it, you end up in a coma. And I don't think they really understand all the consequences of it at first. So then they're stuck in the game. And it's so neat. Because you sit there and you're like, oh, wow, you know, I love Stardew Valley. But then what would happen if you were actually in Stardew Valley?
I mean,
and, like, you couldn't get out.
Okay, so may I emphasize on Sword Art Online a little bit?
Yeah, please do.
The main character, whose name I forget because I can't remember anybody's name. That one. I love him. Like, way more than I probably should. Anyway, he was a beta tester for a video game. They had an idea of what was going on. The video game released. And everybody who uploaded to that day realized that they couldn't log off. And this is a virtual reality world, so they are locked into it. The person who created it set it up so anybody who was forcibly removed was killed.
Yeah.
So if you were pulled out of your VR, you died. This is all in the first episode. So it talks about like the people that they meet along the way. There's a goal in mind. They have to beat like the video game to get out of there. So there's like a goal in mind, and it's all about like how would you deal with that, like kind of thing, and and I love it. It's absolutely one of my favorites. One of my moral dilemmas that ever come, like, not a moral dilemma, but we constantly make a joke, like, kill 10,000 people, fine, don't you dare sniff my girlfriend's hair. Inuyasha Kagome.
That's them.
Yeah.
I love them.
I only watched the first season.
Kagome!
Inuyasha.
Listen, I will say this, though. The name Kikyo it makes my blood boil to this day. To this day. There is a TikToker named Nikki Marina. I wrote an article about her last year. She loves anime, and her Inuyasha skits, also her My Hero Academia skits, but her Inuyasha skits have me rolling. But there is always a moment where she's like, Kikyo? And I'm like, no! But it is, it's so good. I love it. I miss that kind of trope of just like dramatically yelling people's names. Like, it doesn't happen enough anymore. But okay. So, you want a reverse harem? This is how you get a reverse harem. This is Ouran High School Host Club. Throw everything you think is gonna happen in this anime out the window. Just anything you think you know, you don't know. It is an older anime, and my warning for it is that they use verbiage about transgender people that was not only acceptable, but was the verbiage at the time. But now is not acceptable. It is not meant in a malicious way. It is not meant in a mean way. It was what people were saying back then. That is where we are going to... That's the big warning I'm going to give you.
There's no season 2.
There's no season 2. Stop asking J. Michael Tatum about a season 2.
There's no season 2.
There's no season 2.
There never will be.
No. We're all just going to hurt together because there's no season 2. This is an anime that is very focused on relationships. It's like those games where you're trying to pick who you're going to fall in love with. Almost like a choose your own adventure game. In fact, they even make references to it. Because those were huge at the time. They're still very big, obviously.
That's what D&D is.
Yeah. Like, you have your glasses character. You have your princely character. You've got the strong silent type.
That's my glasses character. Thank you very much.
Listen, we all love Koyoya Senpai. Creepy incest twins.
You always have to have those friends around when everybody's really unsure.
Right. Yeah. These two just happen to be brothers. But it's so good. It's so good. And
the commoner.
The commoner.
Don't forget the commoner.
I will drink this commoner coffee. I quote this anime more than I should. I rewatch it more than I should. Most of the people who watch it, it turns into one of those animes for them, where it's just you rewatch it a lot.
Yep. You make other people watch it.
Yeah. I was at Crimson's house. I don't even remember what we were doing. I think we were getting ready for a convention, and she was like, here you go. We're going to watch this. And we binge watched almost all of it, and I was so mad.
It's like when you show people Firefly. Here, I want you to watch this show that's amazing that has one fucking season, and then you can be miserable for the rest of your life too.
Well, and I just kept getting so mad at him.
Well, of course, that's all you do. You spend the entire season being pissed off at that one.
And then you feel a lot of feelings about everything.
So many feelings.
Because, of course, as it goes on, we learn more about the characters, and they become so much more than their tropes. And one of our favorite English voice actors, J. Michael Tatum, is in it. He is the voice of Kayoya Senpai, so we love him, despite the fact...
only anime where I can name names. Sorry, despite the fact that he hurts us.
that he hurts us so much.
So bad.
He would have my credit score information, he would have all of it, and he would use it against me. But it's good. And so if you're looking for something like that, I would definitely recommend Oran High School Host Club, because it does have that harem feel, but not only is it a twist, but it's a little bit funny. It makes fun of itself.
Yes.
Which I think is refreshing and nice. Whereas with a lot of the other harem anime, it's like the guy is kind of like, I don't want to say useless, but like you don't really understand why everybody's in love with him.
I still don't know.
And so it's just neat to kind of have the whole thing turned on its head. And to have something with such an interesting plot and such strong characters. All of them are so strong. And if you don't love Honey Senpai, it's because you are the Honey Senpai of your group. So,
does that mean
sports!
You're Honey Senpai?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I don't know. I always thought I'd be more Haruhi. But I think when I took the quiz, I got Honey Senpai. Here you go, Riley. Yuri on Ice. There are animes even all about sports. So if that's your thing, they got you. Haikyuu is a volleyball-themed one. And I just started it. It is a huge favorite right now. Like, people are feral for this anime. It's very character-driven. The main character is a shorty, like myself, and he just wants to play volleyball really well. But his middle school doesn't have a team, so he's trying to like learn from the girls' team, and then he goes to high school. It's very epic, and it's kind of his story, and then how this team comes together. And the power of friendship, which we all love. And then we have Yuri on Ice, which is very competitive. And beautiful. This one is figure skating, and there's love. They talk about mental health. They start with mental health and how that affects what you're doing on an Olympic level. And it's so good. It's so beautiful. The music is amazing. I would suggest Yuri on Ice to everyone. To everyone. Even if you're not interested in figure skating, it's beautifully done. And the characters are so good. Just so good. So yeah.
Oh, right, Free, the swimming anime.
Break Free? Yep. I was just going to say there's a swimming anime that I could not remember. Break Free. There are quite a few sport animes. There's one about food, which I thought I was going to watch, but then Kinky sent me some stuff, and I'm probably not going to watch it anymore, just because it got real weird real fast.
The anime got weird?
Yeah. Yeah, it got a little porny pretty quick, and I was like,
Somebody send that to me?
I know. We'll watch Food Wars. Which, for other people, is fine. It just makes me uncomfortable when it gets super porny really fast. Like, that's just not my genre, which is fine, but it's a valid genre, and it's there. I've heard really good things about it. Yes, she does. Somebody get this woman a shirt that says that.
I love hentai. I need the shirt. I want to make a shirt for my personal channel that says hentai with senpai, and it's got a picture, one of my pictures on it.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I really do think you should. One of my favorite quotes from Yuri on Ice is, "I will be a sexy pork cutlet bowl." which out of context makes no sense. But when you watch the anime, you're gonna laugh. And they used to have it at Hot Topic, and I didn't buy it because I was trying to stay on budget, and I should have bought it. I regret that to this day. Hot Topic, bring it back. I'll buy 3. So here we go. Here's one of the happier movies from Studio Ghibli. So Studio Ghibli is a powerhouse, and it's been around for a long time, and I think it was something that helped to bring anime over and make it more mainstream for a lot of different countries. And so what they've done is they've taken different stories and they turn them into feature films that are animated. And they're beautiful. Even when they're a little scary and even when there's like bad things happening, they're amazing. This one's from Howl's Moving Castle, and it is my favorite. It's one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. But I thought it was good because you got to see how the landscape looked. They have a thing about music and landscape and food. Like, it all just looks and sounds amazing all the time. And a lot of them give you such a feeling of peace because there'll be fields or there'll be people sitting. They also have movies like Spirited Away, which is a little bit newer. And you can tell because the art style gets a little bit more updated, but it still very much looks like a Studio Ghibli film. And that is one where a little girl is transported into a kind of darker fantasy place. Also, The Cat Returns, which I just watched, and that was pretty neat. And it has Clive Lewis's voice in it, so that's always a plus. So if you're looking for something to get you started, and you kind of just want a movie and not a series, just go to Studio Ghibli.
Not Grave of the Fireflies.
But not the Grave of the Fireflies. Anything but the Grave of the Fireflies. And you will enjoy it.
Watch Kiki's Delivery Service. That was my first Studio Ghibli.
That is one of my favorites. And when I first moved down here, I watched it for the first time and I cried. Because it is all about a young witch striking out on her own for the first time, and her feelings about that, how excited she is about it, and also then how alone she feels sometimes and how she struggles with her magic. And for me, it was the perfect movie for how I felt moving to a different state for the first time, far away from all my friends. It was perfect for what I needed. And there is a Studio Ghibli movie for your mood. And I cannot recommend them enough either. Okay, so we're almost done. We've got a couple more minutes. Let's just talk.
Princess Mononoke was my only Studio Ghibli.
We're
I also highly recommend that. As for anime, I have a different approach on anime. Mine tend to be much more violent. So I like action oriented. Ouran High School Host Club is the only anime that's like that I watch. That's it. I call it my girl anime. Other than that, favorites...
I don't do really well with like romantic animes. Other than that one, like I tried Maid Sama, and I was just like,
I even have an Ouran High School Host Club poster over there. It's my Black Butler wall scroll, which is one of my absolute favorites. I love Black Butler.
So good.
So good. Season 1, not season 2. And then watch the books. Don't watch season 2. Because it destroys everything. It's terrible. Anyway, you also have... Samurai 7 or 7 Samurai. I can never remember which one it is.
Prince of Tennis, that's the other one, Lana. Thank you.
Prince of Tennis, yes. That's an amazing one. There's a movie called 7 Samurai. and an anime called Samurai 7, or the other way around. I don't remember. I never remember.
I think you got it right.
But that's also a really good one. That's also it's got mechs in it as well, which threw me off. I was like, why are there samurai and mechs? But okay.
Well, that's the thing. So there's actually a movie where they went with like a different direction for Escaflowne, and it was the original direction that they were going to, and there were mechs in it, and it was very violent and very dark. There are different mechs in Escaflowne. There's a lot of tropes and genres that get mixed together.
Yeah.
Like, and these were only some of the genres. There are so many more.
We didn't even touch on horror.
No.
There's a whole huge horror
I was
one.
worried that we were going to go way over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my recommendations are Black Butler, Soul Eater, which is a great anime, 4 seasons long, and it finishes. First 3 seasons of Bleach I watched. I won't watch past that because I don't have time for 56 seasons.
A lot. Yeah.
Nobody has time for that. Attack on Titan is another favorite of mine. My Hero Academia. There's a lot. There's a lot of really, really good anime. But I think the two that I like, two or three that I rewatch is going to be Black Butler, Soul Eater, and We're on High School Host Club.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I said, there's an anime for every mood. And there's an anime for every whim. So don't be scared. Don't feel overwhelmed. You can always ask me. We're friends now. We're friends. But yeah.
We love anime recommendations too.
It makes me so happy to talk about. But it is now time to start our next panel, which is horror and gaming.
Yay!
Yeah.
So on stream, I'm gonna do a BRB, and we'll get set up for that.
Yes, horror in games.
Horror in games. Now,
Yes.
you all are going to laugh because the way that some of us say horror sounds like whore. It's an accent. There's not really very much I can do about it besides try to pronounce it.
Bless you.
Bless you.
And you, the demons that are trying to be expelled. Let them out. Let out your demons.
If you eat a fly, I'm out. I'm done.
No flies around here.
I don't have flies. I have crickets. I have mealworms.
No, we're not doing that. Just because when we get
brownie.
together most of the time and the camera's on,
Oh, brownie.
it means that you're eating that stuff. You're not eating it today.
No.
We only eat brownies. We're only eating fun stuff today.
I wish, but my
Brownies.
husband's not here.
Woo! There it is.
I couldn't let it go.
Listen, that's what your texts to him are supposed to be about.
Whew.
You do that on your own time.
All right. We are talking about horror in games. We play a lot of horror video games, and if we're not playing it, well, Kinky's always playing it, but sometimes we are also watching it. But horror in video games is really like, I love horror. I love horror. And there are so many good horror games out there that people don't give a chance. And I'm one of them. I'm like, I'm not playing that. No. Because I can't kill people in it. So I don't want anything to do with it. But I need to open up and I need to try to play some more games. But one game I know that we have all played, and the first game that comes to mind is Dead by Daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Kinky is over Dead by Daylight now. Kinky
The
has
horror.
over 2,000 hours in Dead by Daylight.
Reaching 2,000 hours.
Reaching
in Dead by
2,000.
Well, it would, if they included the beta, then yes, I have over. But like, yeah.
The horror. Dead by Daylight is one of my favorites, easily. And one of the reasons it's one of my favorites is because now it is becoming like a who's who of horror pop culture. So for those of you who don't know, and you know what, let me share a screen.
Yeah. We also will have streaming of Dead by Daylight coming up.
Yeah, at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
On 2 hours.
good because I need a break.
Yeah, that's with Riley.
Yeah, with Riley. Riley is streaming this in. That's not what I wanted. Oh, I could just do this on Steam, right?
Yeah.
So Dead by Daylight is the who's who of horror pop culture at this moment. It doesn't have everybody, and they have also included their own creations. Like this one video that we're watching now. This is
my
the Trickster. Daddy Trickster. Trickster is the newest one. He is a K-pop star who happens to also be a murderer. Psychopath. He is an original character that Dead by Daylight has come up with.
100% fan service.
So much fan service. Oh, okay.
He's more than just pretty. He likes to murder folk.
Yeah, so this is
Oh,
the
the
twins. Yeah, the twins are terrifying, and I hate them.
Yeah.
Twins are another creation of Dead by Daylight, but I feel like there was some.
Just the noise that baby makes when it hits the ground. That squelch. And then it's like, running at you.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I really feel like there's some basket case type of like thought process there. Which one is this? Oh, the Blight. Here, okay, so I know next to nothing about the Blight. Except for he's the one that infects them. I don't think I've ever even played against the Blight. I don't think, like, he was a popular one when he came out.
Blight's never played. Riley's got some time.
You got to be very accurate with the Blight.
Oh, so he's harder to play.
Because his thing is ramming.
Felix is hot, though. The survivor that comes with him.
Wicked says just played with him for the first time last night, in fact.
The Blight is also new. I'm like, hey, look, they do old stuff too. They do pop culture, and then I've got nothing pop culture. This is the first trailer for Dead by Daylight that came out that kind of showed you what you're doing. And if you don't know anything about Dead by Daylight, basically, it's Purgatory, which took me a while to figure out. It is Purgatory, and this is their Silent Hill crossover.
So good.
It's Purgatory, and basically what's happening is you are trying to activate enough generators to activate the exit doors to get out. And there is a killer on the map trying to kill you and make sure that you don't get out, and sacrifice you to the entity, the dark entity that he serves. They serve. There are 10 or so more. There are more than 10 killers at this point, right? There's gotta be. There you've got Pyramid Head.
There's like 22, Wicked says.
22, Jesus Christ. Typically, most people come with it's a killer, a survivor, and a map. Now, not always. We haven't gotten a map in a while, and I'm unhappy about that. But
this is the...
So reworking.
They're reworking the maps. I know, but I want new maps. I want to whine about it.
I like this killer. This Deadshot killer. Riley just started playing him recently, and I think he's really cool. But I could see why not a lot of people use him, because he's difficult to like get that accuracy with. I'm also just a sucker for a saloon.
I have missed so many of the killers in this last year.
I'm catching up.
He came with Zarya, right? No. That's not her name. Zarina.
You don't lie, you like him because his laugh. I do like his laugh.
And he just doesn't. Oh, she is one of my favorites. This is the Oni.
Oh, look. There's a glass that our friend Wicked made with the Oni.
And the really nice thing about Dead by Daylight is that they have actually taken the time with the killers. They actually change it up. So it's not just about getting the exits powered. It's much more than that. And here's another one.
Ahoy, Steve!
Yeah. Ahoy, Steve. So this is...
You're welcome. I know I didn't say that it was the whole name of it. Sorry, Wicked. I got excited.
The Oni and the Spirit have a connection. I know, but I've never heard what it is.
I want to see more of the Spirit.
Yeah. And we got Steve and what's her face? Nancy Wheeler.
Nancy.
The Spirit is the one that's based on that Japanese urban legend, right? The split-faced girl?
She's a Yuri, so she's a vengeful spirit, but she's not the Slipmouth woman. She's a different kind of vengeful Yuri.
Ghostface. Everybody fucking hates Ghostface. Nobody
Please,
likes
Mr.
Ghostface.
Ghostface, I want to be in the sequel.
Oh, right. Demise of the Faithful.
Oh, ugh,
Priestess. Vami Mommy? Yes, Vami Mommy.
Mm.
You forgot all about the Ghostface trailer, Riley.
Yep. She is a priestess from Babylon. The Plague, that's what she's called.
I feel bad that I never
She
remember
would-
her real name.
She would be great if she didn't vomit on you.
She's kind of cute if you don't look at the one side. Legion. Legion is probably the most hated killer. That's David.
Wicked's favorite.
And I think the reason a lot of people hate Legion is because of, like, how much they
So many
with,
missed
they
opportunities.
could have done with Legion, and they didn't.
Legion had so much potential and they fucked it up.
Yeah, because Legion's kind of like the Strangers. But it's also very difficult to win with Legion.
Yeah. Fucking clown. Oh my god, I hate this dude.
Oh no! No. Go away!
Kate. I love Kate. I ain't looking at that. I'll tell you when it's done. Listen to the sound of my voice. I will tell you when it's done. Now, me and Thea and Vonri typically play Survivor. Out of the four of us, Kinky is the only adept killer. And she has favorites. I mean, she loves to kill us.
Oh, well, yeah. I am a Wraith main, however, which is one of their original killers.
I hate the Wraith. Kinky is an amazing killer. So are you, Riley. This is another crossover. This is the Saw crossover. And in June, we're getting a Resident Evil crossover. Which we all have a hope.
Do you like trolling with the pig and the hag?
Yes, you love trolling with the hag. It makes me very angry.
Just depends on the day. I did say.
She may be a Wraith main, but her hag, she is scary deadly. Yeah, true.
Oh, here's our Freddy crossover. Freddy didn't come with a Survivor, though.
No, he came with a map.
I feel like I also feel like that design of Freddy is
Wicked
the
said
new...
Quentin?
Quentin? Did he come with Quentin?
Quentin? Yeah, Freddy came.
Yeah, Freddy
Oh,
came
yeah,
with
he did
Quentin.
come with Quentin. I don't...
Leatherface came with nobody. Not even a map.
Listen, Leatherface just came with all his
Good.
issues.
Because most of the maps were Leatherface's maps. Like, if you look at the movies that he was in,
Mhm.
Yeah,
most of the
yeah.
maps
all the
look like
outdoor
his-
ones. Yeah.
I was about to say, what is this? Because she's not in the game.
She's not, and we wished she was.
I wish she was. He's not in
Me
the
too.
game either.
Who are
This
these
is
people? Where'd they
Trapper.
go?
So this is probably from their alpha.
My gosh, Riley just sent us a funny thing about the Trapper.
This is pretty much their E3
Was that Riley?
kind
Or
of
was that you, Crimson?
situation.
It was Riley. Don't hide in there! Kinky gonna get you?
Yeah, that's the Trapper. Trapper is the first killer. Though obviously several killers and survivors come.
It started with Trapper, Wraith, and Hillbilly.
Now, Billy is a better version of the Leatherface trope than Leatherface. Here is Fang, and Fang comes with the Doctor, the other most hated.
Well, the Doctor isn't hated because he's bad.
No.
It's a problem.
He's
But he
kind
is
of OP.
not accessible to everybody. Unfortunately.
Left 4 Dead
If
crossover.
you have any sort of sensitivity to lights and flashing and all of that. So
He's a tough one.
Yeah. I've been in matches against the Doctor that took like over an hour.
Now, Bill from Left 4 Dead
Bill.
was free.
it was
Oh,
on
when,
PC.
when
He was free on
Steam.
PC.
Oh, yeah, because when Steam partnered or got bought out by Valve, that is when Valve made the original Left 4 Dead game.
This is my husband's favorite killer. Everybody hates it when Bill... Well, Riley hates it when Bill plays Michael Myers.
Bill's just scary because he's so good at it.
Though we are still waiting to see if they bring out Jason.
Well, there's a lot of speculation that the Trapper is their version of Jason.
They're not gonna take Jason. There's no way they're gonna take Jason. That doesn't make any sense.
You don't think that Dead by Daylight would take Jason?
Not with the legal troubles that the other game had.
Right.
Why would you risk that?
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't risk it for the biscuit with that one.
That's Billy. Because now we're out of videos, and these are just the screenshots.
They didn't put Bun Bun in a video?
Did I skip Bun? I know I must have skipped
It's
Bun
okay.
Bun's video. She's one of
It's
my
alright.
favorites.
She sings to us.
She sings to us.
I shouldn't find it soothing, but I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, Dead by Daylight, I feel is versatile, even though, like, it is and it isn't. It's hard to explain. I still have fun, even though it's...
It was the first of its kind. Asymmetrical horror. PvP.
And it's
Great idea.
it's fairly polished, especially compared to Friday the 13th. The game.
And last year.
Last year, if they had executed it better, would be a game. Friday the 13th was doomed from the start.
It was fun for a month.
Yeah, well, for me it was more than a month. I think I exclusively streamed that for like 6 months. Until the bugs started to annoy me.
Calling Dead by Daylight polished, however, I played the beta where you'd have to sit and ready up every 5 seconds for an hour to get into a lobby. And maybe not everybody would get in. And that was
I feel like
that was the thing. It's come a long way since then.
Yeah.
Is it a game that still mechanically needs fixed? Yes.
I don't know.
I think
any game.
I
that
think
doesn't-
absolutely.
can be made better by fixes, but yeah, it definitely needs some fixing.
Well, it should not take me an hour to get a killer lobby. Like Riley says, it's better now, but that with crossover as well should not be a thing. Like if I were to exclusively stream as a killer, like how much dead air am I really putting out there?
That is an extremely valid point, because that's like I was gonna do a stream of just playing killer, and it took me like in the first 15 minutes I was done. I was like, nope, I'm not waiting all night.
As someone who's a new gamer, and is learning a lot about playing with mouse and keyboard, let alone just playing anything that's not a TTRPG, though, I do enjoy Dead by Daylight. It gives me challenge. Kind of scares me a little bit, but I can use it, and it gives me like good attainable goals throughout the game to get better at, which I appreciate.
So now that we've spent 30 minutes talking about Dead by Daylight. It's a... hi, sweetie. I didn't feel you down there. It's a game that we all play. It's a game that we like playing. We enjoy playing. It's also really cool because you can play it... I can, like, me and Kinky can go play it. The 4 of us can go play it. We can play it with 5 of us and play Kill Your Friends. It's really good for just like, hey, let's go do a thing. You know? But it's frequently on sale. I would definitely, if you like playing with friends, I definitely recommend it. However, just my favorite horror games tend to be like 7 Days to Die, Left 4 Dead, the Dark Pictures Anthology is good for single or multiplayer. I enjoy those. I am loving The Letter right now, which is a horror visual novel, and Phasmophobia if you're into doing white people shit. But there are a lot of...
I mean, to be fair, most horror games are white people shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
One of my favorite horror games is Visage, Chapter 1. Specifically, Chapter 1.
Did you play the other chapters?
I tried to play 2, but it just, it didn't work. The game itself didn't work. And that might have been the computer. I'm pretty sure I tried it on this computer, too. But...
Kinky's also played Visage.
Nope.
I thought you
Riley
did.
said
Nope.
Visage technically took place.
Own it. Not played it. I convinced Meryl to play it, though.
And?
She routinely gets very frustrated with horror games, but she continues to play them because I like watching her play them. So
I love her. And I feel
that one was
very
one of
bad.
them that got very
Very angry, very quick.
angry with. I don't think she's finished the other chapters, but
I am pretty sure I have clips of me actually jumping and screaming from Visage.
oh yeah, it's scary game for sure. But sometimes scary games can get in their own ways if they have tasks that get to be a challenge. If you can't figure it out,
Yeah.
it stops being scary and it becomes enraging.
Like Five Nights at Freddy's. Stops becoming scary real quick. You're just mad.
I enjoyed the Five Nights at Freddy's. I had a weird experience with Five Nights at Freddy's because I did not know there was lore attached, like a huge amount of lore attached.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of people that came into my stream because of it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I met Riley, actually. And some of them are it's very hardcore. So if you stream the entire... I have not finished 4. 4 is perhaps the scariest of them all for me, because it is in a house.
Yeah, that's the one I don't think I'm going to be able to do.
And you are on a bed, and you're trying to keep things at bay.
Oh.
So I've not gotten through that one, but I played through almost the rest. I played through 1 through 3, and I got through them. And I really didn't have a bad time with it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I, like, out of the scary games I've played, like, not the worst experience for me.
I didn't hate it. I just wasn't scared anymore. I went through... I don't know if I did I remember beating the first one. I don't know if I played the second one.
I know I own all of them, but I haven't played any of them.
Yes, I played them.
They're point and... Well, they'd be good. They're point and click.
Yeah. Yeah, it will also scare the shit out of you.
Riley wants to do VR for Five Nights at Freddy's. That
I want to see that.
I want to see that. I will buy that.
No.
If you
Uh-huh.
stream VR playing it. That's the stipulation.
Because that's a nope for me.
Look, Vonry lasted longer in a VR horror game than I did. I was like, nope, I noped. There was a wind, I saw a doll, and I noped the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Another very popular and, in my mind, a classic horror game is now Outlast. It is one of those ones that is really well done. I like the first one, I like the second one. That's me.
Outlast for me is what got it got frustrating fast, and it stopped being scary pretty quickly.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also played it, Kinky, right?
Oh yeah, I played through all of them.
It says it gets me because you can't fight back.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to. I was not against playing it for so long.
I started with Alien Isolation, and I went from sitting in a locker in that game to sitting in a locker in Outlast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I, however, liked the prequel and the original Outlast game. The second Outlast game, however, makes no sense in the three. Makes no sense in the three of them. And here the thing is, I don't know if it's supposed to link back, but it does not. In my mind, it doesn't. And they took a drastic turn in the content of the story. So if you don't want to see a lot of babies, don't play 2.
There's also trigger warnings for sexual assault in there as well. So that aren't made aware. So yeah, that was interesting to go through. This is the trailer for Alien Isolation.
The coolest part
horror game
about Outlast 2 was Marta, and if she had her own game, I'd play that shit.
Yeah, I blacked Outlast 2 out of my brain. I don't remember any of it.
I didn't play the second one. I played Outlast 1, and I started the DLC, but there was a lot of running in the DLC, and it made me really motion sick. So I had to stop playing it.
Okay. In 20 years, the DLC from Outlast 1, there's a scene that actually made my stomach jump. And that's impressive. Because I watch a lot of horror. So much. And gore and stuff doesn't really bother me. So much of it. And, yeah, if you can make my stomach, if you can make me go, oh, no. Nope. Then, yeah. It's really good.
Infliction was also a pretty good game.
What was?
Infliction.
Oh.
It's similar to Visage.
I will say, if you enjoy the Alien franchise, the Alien Isolation is a great game. I'm telling you, I will say outright, if you get to the other ship, it's okay to bring up a walkthrough. Because it will start really getting frustrated and drag on.
There is an Aliens Fire Team online co-op multiplayer that we will be playing. Look at it. Okay.
Will we now?
Yeah, look at this!
Cool. Welcome back, Wicked.
There is a flamethrower.
They look like raptors.
Uh,
Riley's like, you had me a flamethrower, and Wicked goes, fuck that shit, I'm out.
Yeah, well, that's because Wicked has potato aim. Aliens Fire Team, summer 2021. Well, I have something to look forward to now. Add that
Wicked's
to
like, I don't need no huggers.
stop.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, but Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is not a horror game.
It had a horror event,
What?
which
Dude
is now
Bros?
being quarantine, which is now being made into its own game.
Still playing the game Quarantine.
Here's a bunch of games that Kinky will never play, like The Forest. There's an attack.
Survival horror will not be anything I ever. Survival games will not be anything ever I try again.
You did try.
Not unless someone pays me to do so.
Ooh.
Horror.
Killing Floor 2 is a great I just want to kill zombies game.
It is good.
See,
But then you
first-
gotta really think about your definition of horror, because it's not scary. I don't find it scary.
No.
And though I am desensitized as fuck, I still get scared at some things. That is not one of them.
Agreed. Zombies don't really scare me, which I think is one of the reasons I love playing zombie games.
It's just, if it's a mindless horde that you can shoot, then it's not really that scary to me. Now, I did play GTFO.
I have GTFO. I haven't played it yet.
And that has the potential to be very anxiety inducing, but they made it very hard.
Yes, I watched some people play it. It looks like it's impossible.
It is very hard to win, unfortunately, and they're not going to make it. They're not going to change anything about it. They want it to be
Nintendo hard?
elite. I don't know, but it's going to be the downfall. It is the downfall of their game, quite frankly. The people who are doing it right, and hopefully we get it soon, are the people who are making the Left 4 Dead.
Back for Blood.
Back 4 Blood. I got to play that. It was beautiful, and I cannot wait to play more.
I am so mad that you got to play it, and so happy at the same time. Back for
My
Blood.
brother just messaged me and was like, Silent Hill movie. Or Silent Hill.
So Back for Blood, so Valve owns Left 4 Dead. They will not give up the rights to the name. So the people who made Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 cannot make Left 4 Dead 3. So they made the spiritual successor, Back for Blood. And I cannot wait, because Left 4 Dead is one of my all-time favorites. Video games, zombie games, first-person shooter games. It's just a wonderful game all around. And I highly recommend it to people. You can even buy Left 4 Dead 2 and play Left 4 Dead 1 through 2. You don't need to own both of them.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend, playing the originals. They're still a lot of fun. I used to replay them at least once a year. So
Next time you replay, I'll play with you.
Okay, I just
And
cannot.
so far, I can't. I'm not getting the simulator sickness with first-person games.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Your brain apparently decided to get rid of that part.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's fine. Silver lining.
Yep.
And they also, I think, this is also the first time I really saw, specialized zombies. Which is also, a lot of fun. That's when you have things that, like, you have zombies, like, you have intelligent zombies, you have, like, this is new. This looks like a boss zombie. But, you know, you've got your exploding zombies, you've got your vomiting zombies, and your witches who, like, desecrate you and if you startle them, and jockeys who hump your face. There's just a lot of, like, really cool ideas that go into a lot of it. But I just cannot wait. June 22nd. There's an Ultimate Edition. What does the Ultimate Edition include for $100? What does the Deluxe include? So my birthday's coming up. Maybe we'll raise some funds so I can get an Ultimate Edition.
Ooh.
Did you say it comes out June 22nd?
Yeah, June 22nd.
Huh.
You were meant to play the game.
I was. That'll be my 1-year stroke anniversary present to myself.
Yay! But yeah, I can't say enough about Left 4 Dead and how wonderful of a game it is. So, I will say, I'm hoping to see all the.
Riley says it's been delayed.
No, October 12th. Fine.
I suppose.
I can still save up and maybe get the deluxe edition of it. Maybe I can get Vel to get it on PC instead of Xbox. Like,
So now it's closer to Thea's birthday.
Yay!
Yay.
I say to get it for yourself and be happy in honor of me.
I also will highly recommend Resident Evil 7. I've never played Resident Evil 7. I will never play Resident Evil 7. It's a good game, though.
You've watched it, right?
I've watched a lot of people. Huh?
It's alright. It's alright.
I enjoy watching it.
Well,
I might try it again.
Maybe since I don't get simulator sickness anymore, maybe I'll try it. Because that's the only reason why I didn't play it, was because it was in first person.
What, Resident Evil or Left 4 Dead?
Resident Evil 7.
You also hate zombies.
I don't hate the monster themselves. I typically end up hating the types of stories that involve zombies.
Well, you beforehand you despise zombies. You didn't want to watch zombie movies or play zombie games. You didn't like zombies.
Yeah. I mean,
this is Kinky's wife.
There she is.
What's her name again?
Lady Demiscu.
Lady Demiscu. Yep, that's your wife.
she's the one that we're hoping is going to be in Dead by Daylight.
So I said this, and I said it aloud. I said it to Riley. If she comes to Dead by Daylight,
Mm-hmm.
I'll start playing again.
I'm gonna flip it. Where's my flip?
If she comes back. If she comes. If she doesn't, if it's Ethan or someone else, I'm not interested.
Anybody but her?
Yeah. Sue.
I can't wait to watch you stream this. Oh, was that the hot werewolf dude everybody was talking about? Instead of 9 feet tall?
Gonna be real upset.
Yeah, we don't want this to be a horror game. We want this to be like a Dragon Age like.
I think it should be a choose your own
relationship
love.
adventure.
Choose your own adventure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
was love.
to be
Someone needs to fuck my character. I'm sorry, but it's just fact. I'll care if I die after.
2021.
Listen, sometimes you just need to be a monster fucker.
And I am. I request I the highest of requests that Kinky stream that for a birthday present for me. The Village. I want to watch it. If he or she doesn't fuck me, I'm gonna lower my ratings. You know it's gonna be good when Riley doesn't care. There are a lot of really good horror games out there, and it all comes down to, in my opinion, it comes down to your genre.
Yeah, I tend to like the first person, like, slow ones where you're going through, like, maybe a haunted house and finding clues, trying to figure out what's happening. So, like, Visage, Infliction, Layers of Fear.
So Layers of Fear is one of her favorites, if not favorite, horror game. And she can speedrun it in 30 minutes.
I don't know if I can do it now, but
she could.
I could speedrun it.
Layers of Fear was okay. Layers of Fear 2 was better for
I
me.
haven't played that one yet.
I disagree. I was disappointed by Layers of Fear 2.
I
But I'm glad you
loved
enjoyed it.
because there are multiple endings,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yeah, I
Candyman
only
did
played
it.
it the once.
Did you
The
get all
voice-
the endings?
I've only gotten one of the endings, and apparently the one ending I got was one of the rarer ones, which I didn't know at the time. But I got a key from, like, the developer, and they were in there, and then I tweeted about it, and Tony Todd followed me, so my life was complete then.
Who doesn't?
So good. And for me, the first one was predictable. And also, I didn't play it out the gate when I started playing horror games. I should have. It's definitely a starter horror game.
Yeah, it was
The
one of my
first one.
first.
It's not, if you're a weathered, seasoned veteran of horror games, it's not going to be... It's psychological over horror for me.
Which
Mhm.
is Von Ree's favorite type of horror. Is psychological horror. And I am not a fan. I played Layers of Fear. I think it's a good game. There's
It also triggered you.
yes, there is alcoholism and abuse in it, so I would very much like it if and that's when we realized that's when we started realizing that I had triggers. But I would I recommend it, but I also wish that's one of the reasons I wish there was trigger warnings on video games. And I know, like, not everything can be triggered, like, everybody has a lot of triggers, but I mean, like, the ones like sexual assault, you know, alcoholism, stuff, abuse.
I think in general, anything with horror needs more of those. And it needs to be, I would love it if it was, you know, not just violence and sexual content, because then I don't know what that means. That is a whole dice roll of combinations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it going to be just people boning and then there's violence, or is it going to be sexual assault?
Yeah,
and
like, is it going to be sexual violence?
I need to know that.
Yeah,
when I'm watching.
I have found very few actual horror games that depict actual sexual violence.
Yeah.
Which, good on them.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But
oh, we just saw that scene.
It's a stark contrast from, like, actual horror films, which rely on it heavily.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Now, I will say one genre, which I think, I don't know if Honor has played all of them, like, the one that started it is Open House, I think it's called, where you search through this house of your family and find out what happened to them. So then I also played a game, and I think it's free, called Marie's Room, and you search through her room and you figure out what's going on there. And I like those kinds of games. Like, if you want a more mystery kind of, the story unfolds in front of you, you are like firsthand experiencing it kind of deal.
Sarah is Missing is kind of similar.
Yeah.
That one was a very interesting game.
I haven't done, but I own them both. This
Simulacra?
Yeah, I have both of those.
I haven't.
Where you're going through people's phones.
Sarah is Missing is kind of like that. You find Sarah's phone, and you're going through it to try to figure out what happened to her.
No.
Yes, Life is Strange does have a lot of triggering content, which is why I haven't played it.
Yeah.
I
have played Life is Strange.
I just like horror that makes me not want to be there anymore. What? Lust from Beyond.
Oh.
Lust from Beyond, I have not gotten to play, but my friend Carice has played both games now on stream. I guess the second one got a real naughty.
Oh yeah.
She's like, I had to be right back screen for a scene. I'm like, okay. That's fun.
If you look at like the preview pictures, there is a machine involved.
There is a machine involved, yep.
Yes. There is a machine involved.
Which is an actual real life machine that people use.
Yes.
So it's not. But it's not like a torture machine.
No, it's a sex machine.
Yeah.
But when I was like, oh, this looks, it was just like, okay, which just wasn't what I was expecting. There's nothing against it. It's just not what you're expecting sometimes. And then it also, Steam has changed what acceptable content it has now.
Right.
So that stuff used to be much harder to find, and now I'm like, oh, hey, look, this game says gentleman. Oh, there's a penis.
See, here's the thing. Like, I was excited for the game Agony because it was supposed to be just graphic. And then it got...
graphic.
Tamed down. Fuck. I don't know. It didn't turn out to be what it was supposed to be. And, so I haven't touched it. But... I'm okay. I'm okay with more dongs in media.
Oh yeah, 100% more dongs. Not enough dong.
We always get to see all of a woman, but
boobies,
God forbid,
vaginas, butts everywhere.
All of a man.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I like the prequel to Outlast. Because it's all men. It's all men. That some of them get there's dong in both of those. Yes.
Definitely some dong.
If you want like a fun puzzly horror, and it's goofy, it's like and I think Crimson has played it. Slayaway Camp?
Yeah.
I love that game.
There's
so
two.
much.
There's two of them. There's
Slayaway Camp and Friday the 13th.
And Friday the 13th.
But I haven't gotten to play that part yet.
Because
there are multiple chapters in Slayaway Camp.
There's multiple killers in Slayaway Camp too. So
multiple killers, yeah, and multiple finishing moves and all that.
I prefer that.
I'll be right back while y'all are talking.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
But like gruesome as well. It's so funny. It's such a funny game.
Also, like, if you want stuff that's kind of creepy, but not like horror, and you like puzzles, like The Room are a good series. But it's more like creepy, not scary.
Yeah, it's just like it's like an ambiance, like creepy ambiance, creepy vibe. But there's no jump scares. It's not like you're trying to figure something out to get away from something. It's just creepy.
I think for me, if the map wasn't so just hot garbage, The Dark Occult would be a scary game.
I don't know.
But it is absolute trying to maneuver yourself around that map. And I don't even know if I got halfway through it before they changed the name of the game. Because it wasn't The Dark Occult in the beginning. It was something else.
Uh-huh.
And it was copyrighted. So then they had to change the name. But, like, the jump scares in it, good. The voice actor for the lead, horrible.
Uh-huh.
Horrible. But, like, the scares, yes, I would give it. I would suggest it, but if you get easily confused by a map, you're not going to have a good time with it unless you have a walkthrough.
What's that one horror game that you played that nobody should ever play?
Fucking Kulot.
I like how she knew exactly which one I was talking about.
Well, I think that's funny because Crimson actually bought me that game, I think, before you played it.
Yeah, I didn't know it was terrible.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Stunning graphics. If you just want to, like, walk around a wintry area, definitely the game for you. But if you're wanting some sort of explanation to why you're there and the story, you're never going to find out. You're never going to know. It's never going to be a thing. And the fact that they got Sean Bean to voice it, I don't know how. He must have not known. Baffling. Cannot even... I can't... Just don't do it. Don't waste your time.
Fuck what? Don't want the fuck.
Don't waste your time.
No, don't waste your time. I agree. Don't waste your time. Why have I done what? I do a lot of things.
I will say, I got through a game called Wick in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sufficiently scary. Didn't have a lot of things for you to do, so you just kept moving.
Mm-hmm.
You know? If you like very kind of Five Nights at Freddy's vibes, but you're not sitting. You have to move around the map.
That's terrifying.
It's pretty scary. So I would suggest that one.
There are a lot of great horror games out there. You just have to know where to look.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess we're gonna conclude on that, and we're going to go to BRB. So, Thea can get ready for her Aliens in Media panel, which is next. So, thank you, everybody. I think a good chunk of us are playing in Dead by Daylight with Riley in a couple hours. So, bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
All right, thank you so much, Crimson. You are, as always, the best.
No, you.
Welcome. No, you. Oh. Hi, Jen. Welcome, everyone. This is our Aliens in the Media panel. So we're going to talk a little bit about aliens. And I think it's mostly just going to be Wicked and I gushing about aliens. We have a loose format. We just love aliens. So this is my wonderful friend, Wicked. Do you have anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug?
We're just two potatoes who love aliens.
We are two potatoes who love aliens. And I am Thea the Bard. I am one of the staff here at Real Women of Gaming, content writer, many other things. But let's get into gushing about some aliens, shall we? So, Wicked, could you do me a favor? And because when I have the slides show up, I can't see anything else. Because I only have one monitor, like a potato peasant. Can you tell me if there are any questions or comments?
Yes.
Thank you, friend. All right. That Roddenberry wanted to show that the world could be better. It's kind of a bright way of looking at things. Like, our crew could be diverse, and women like Ahura could be a lieutenant, and she could be in charge of so many things and be able to fix her own console and do all of that. And it should be a place without war, but if those other pesky aliens just could just get it together. You have cartoons like the Jetsons, which again are set into the future. And most of the aliens that you meet there are kind of like pets, or they just look very different.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have Doctor Who. Oh, go on.
Jen said it would have worked if it wasn't for those pesky aliens.
Oh, if it wasn't for them pesky Klingons. And then we have Doctor Who. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. Doctor Who shirt. I just got my sonic screwdriver for 13. Let me scan you all. Apparently you're okay. Really, I just wanted to geek out about stuff.
I was like, you might want to check that again. I don't think we're all okay.
Not. Let's try the other setting. It's nothing we can fix right now. So this is our first Doctor, and Doctor Who is an alien from a planet named Gallifrey, and Doctor Who started off originally in the 1960s as like a show to teach kids about science. So the Doctor was sort of this professorly figure, and he was kind of gruff and kind of just like, humans. It's very different from how it is now, and that shows a beautiful way to show how aliens have evolved and kind of how we look at them. Any other comments or questions before we boldly go?
Well, the one thing that I really like about Doctor Who is that most of the aliens up until this time, if they looked very different or more what we would think aliens look like, they were seen more as the bad guys.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas those that were humanoid were like friends.
Correct. That trope continues. It's a trope that kind of started around this time. Like, okay, so maybe some of the aliens are cool. but not these aliens. Like, you know, you've got the Dialects, or you have the Cybermen, or you have the Klingons. These are aliens that are coming to conquer. And so then we need aliens like the Doctor or like Spock to help us to be able to defend ourselves.
And I also like that in Doctor Who, they also had like many different types of aliens. Like it wasn't like the scary ones. They were like cute and cuddly ones, like the little like the adiposes. Those are my favorites. So Doctor Who did a lot for kind of changing the way we looked at aliens. Like just because they're scary doesn't mean that they're bad.
And Doctor Who very much also then falls into the trope later on of romancing the alien.
Yes.
But the aliens that look like us.
Yeah, it did become a cult favorite, Jen.
Yeah. Except for, oh my goodness, what's her name? The lizard woman and her wife.
Oh,
They're kind of like the Sherlock Holmes group, and they have Drax with them.
I always forget their names, but I love Drax.
The Moon. It'll come to me. But I love Doctor Who. I love Star Trek. They are big favorites of mine. I grew up with Star Trek my whole life. Doctor Who, I'm a little bit more new to. I've been a Whovian for about 6 years now. So
is it Vastra?
That's it. Yes.
Okay. I had to Google it.
Yeah. She does not look like us, and she has a very human wife. But it's neat. The 60s was such a cool time because it's such a polar world where everything wants to be futuristic and our future is going to be so golden, it's going to be so beautiful. But at the same time, there's such a grittiness of racism and violence and war that's happening within the country. And it really is kind of tearing it apart at the seams. And you see it to an extent in these shows. And that was a really cool way to do it, because you could sit there and take something like racism in Star Trek and be like, oh, well, they have blue and white faces and we have white and blue faces, so we're not allowed to get along.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, but you just have the same colors, but they're reversed. Like, it was such, and it wasn't all perfect. Like, none of these shows are perfect. But it was a great way to get a conversation started in a time where you didn't have these conversations.
Jen said Nietzsche with the stars on theirs. Oh, Dr. Seuss. Okay.
Oh.
I
love
was like,
Dr. Seuss. So the 70s, we get very much out of Earth. We end up in space a lot. It's kind of like Buck Rogers when we start off, where it's a human going into space, and you've got these aliens that you're fighting. Like, it starts off very similar to the end of the 60s. And then we end up going into like Star Wars, where it kind of just depends on which side of the fence you're on. Like, are you supporting the rebels? Are you supporting the Empire? Where are you? And the fact that the Force is such like an alien thing. And it's kind of like this weird marriage of Arthurian legend meets Buck Rogers. And you get some really fantastic aliens throughout Star Wars. But for a lot of it, they're very secondary characters. Again, because the humans are the heroes, even if the aliens are friendly. And then we go to 1979 with Alien. And it's so different because that's such a dark gritty horror movie. Like now, you know, we're not all like, oh, yay, let's go to space. Now it's like, wow, hey, we went to space and it was real bad.
Yeah.
It was real bad.
Well, like, I think the difference here is previous to this, it was more so about like the humans triumphing. Like that was the thing. Like at the end of the day, in most of pre this time, when there was aliens involved, somehow the humans were able to prevail. Like in this case, like you have aliens who literally are eating the humans, killing
Yeah.
them, outnumbering them. There's like literally, they have like protective skin, they have acid blood, they
Yeah.
they can see you when it's dark. Like, how do you fight these things? And it really brings it down to that like isolation in space. Like no one can hear you scream when you're in space. And that the first Aliens movie brought that in so well and brought that horror and that terror. And
Yeah.
I will never forget the first time I saw the alien burst out of the guy's chest.
Yeah. I
Which
don't think anybody can.
fun fact, he is the war doctor.
Mm-hmm. John
So
Hart.
bringing it back to Doctor Who.
And an interesting thing is that, so this is 1979. Meanwhile, in 1978 on television, you have Mort and Mindy.
Exactly.
Nano, like, which is an alien coming here to Earth and just being so lost. It's more Doctor Who-ish, you know?
Yeah.
But just being a friend and being very funny and light. It's interesting. I think just the spectrum of how we see aliens in the 1970s in America. It's wild to me.
And especially like the huge shift.
Yeah.
Because before it was more like cutesy aliens
Mm-hmm.
and kind of aliens that looked like humans, or at least
Yeah.
kind of moved like humans and reacted as humans. Whereas in the first Alien, like they are literally these
Yeah.
foreign creatures that we have no concept of, and the protagonists have no idea what to do at first.
They don't.
And
They really can't even fathom what to do, which, to be honest and to be fair, I don't know if I would.
but to be honest and fair, if they would have listened to Ripley at the beginning, we wouldn't have this issue.
Listen, just always listen to the lady and her cat. That's, I think, one of the main notes we should walk away from
Moral of the
with
story:
this.
listen to
Exactly.
Sigourney Weaver.
Just always listen to Sigourney Weaver. Dear Sigourney Weaver, please never start spouting nonsense, because I will have to eat my words.
Please do not.
Because this will be recorded forever. But yeah, it's neat that now we're getting to see all these different kinds of aliens, and we're getting to see aliens who are a threat, where it really makes sense that they are a threat, because they're scary. But Alf! In the 80s, we get, again, it's a mixture of it, because we're still getting new alien movies, because it's a series of movies. But then you get a television series like Alf, where it is an alien who doesn't look like humans at all, but he kind of looks cuddly, and he's living with them, and he's trying to figure it all out. He's constantly trying to eat the cat, because the cat would be a delicacy on his world. And it was a little bit more adult, but not too adult. Like, it's a very tongue-in-cheek thing. And some of my earliest memories are of watching Alf, because I was born in 85. Like, I had an Alf doll that I carried with me everywhere. Could not be parted. So it's neat that, again, now we're getting a cutesy alien, but he's only cutesy because he looks cutesy. Like, he still has very different ways and mannerisms. And I think that was something that was really neat for the 1980s and kind of unique for the 1980s, because the 1980s, again, we're having this really big shift in how we see ourselves as Americans. There was a huge financial crisis. There was Ronald Reagan, terrifying. And a lot of the things that came with that. And so you're taking this alien and you're putting him into this like all-American household, but there's still a place for him and he gets to be himself within that house.
And like you can see, he has in that picture, he has a seat at the table. So
Yeah.
he is becoming part of the family.
Yeah.
He is trying to kind of blend in with humans and learn about them, as opposed to some of the stuff we're seeing as we get on with different types of aliens we see. He is still, even though he is cute, cuddly, and we know he's an alien, he still kind of does still have human mannerisms and things like that. He's able to learn to mimic humans.
Yeah. And he has his whole own culture and his whole own home planet. And this was around the time where people were like, those things should be celebrated, but not totally celebrated. Like, we're starting to have these bigger conversations about gender and sexuality and about race. And those are important conversations to be having. But at the same time, America's in a very scary recession. And people are trying to kind of turn back the clock. But there isn't any turning back the clock because these things are here and they need to be talked about and they need to be addressed. And they're a part of who we are. Whether or not you were directly that you knew of affected by these things, they were there. And so bringing in something like Alf, a puppet, to play an alien is a really interesting way to very softly have a conversation about you're different and you have a culture, but we want you to blend into our culture and just be like us and just be kind of quiet about it. And Alf's like, okay, well, I'll sit at the table and I'll eat peas, but I'm still going to try and eat your cat later because your cat's a delicacy.
And also, like during the 80s, we had The Thing, which, when it's outside of a human's body, it is terrifying. It is a creature that is so scary looking and terrifying. But what's worse is that it can be anyone. It can be any person that you know. So at this time, there is a really big shift for like TV and movies. So movies, I feel like at this time are getting more darker and more gritty and more into the horror, as opposed to like Mork and Mindy, like comedy, Alf comedy.
Yeah.
The Thing literally was a movie to scare you about trusting those who you've known your entire life or people that you've worked with and things like that. Like, can you really trust this person?
Yeah.
And
why are they a person that the alien would be able to target?
Exactly. And like, who can you trust? Like, how can you figure out if you can trust them? And really, it's more of like an isolation feeling in those kind of situations where we shift to TV with Alf and it's like, ha, 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 he wants to eat the cat.
Oh, silly. Yeah.
Silly Alf.
Whereas there is this very afraid feeling that's also happening. And that is what movies, television, books are for. In my life outside of Real Women of Gaming, I do actually have a degree in history, and that was a part of what we studied, was what does media say about how we're feeling about ourselves. And I think that it makes it very interesting to look at the genre of aliens, to see how America's kind of feeling about itself and what's going on at the time. Like, obviously, post World War II with like the 50s and stuff like that, we're very afraid of anything that's not American, because World War I and World War II had just happened. And that had been such a traumatic event for so many people. So outsiders, invaders are always going to be scary. And then in the 60s, we're warming up to things. But there are still wars going on, and they're wars based on like resources and race. So you get that polarized feeling with it. In the 70s, you're in the middle of all that still. And there are people who grew up in the 60s and who are now being very vocal about how people should come together and how things are going to be okay, and we can use humor to solve things. And then there are other people that are like, no, but we can't. And here's this threat, and what do we do about it? And it's scary, it's not cute, and it's not cool, which then bleeds into the 80s, which makes sense because the 80s was such a weird time of, we're going to let women into the workforce, but you're going to get paid so much less. And yeah, we'll start to lessen some restrictions on who's allowed to come into this country, but it needs to be for doctors. It needs to be for chemists. It needs to be for people who are going to become articulate and can sit at my table, and that leads to a lot of problems with racism that we are seeing today. And you can very easily use an alien to be an allegory for all of that without people even knowing, oh, shit, we're having this conversation right now. Go on.
Oh, no, you're right. And also at this time, you have the Cold War going on as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's been going on forever in their minds.
Aliens and Russian spies, and there's so many things that are trying to teach you to be suspicious of people. How many people were suspicious of their neighbors being spies, or it's really leaning into that fear aspect of the human psyche, of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got one side trying to incorporate aliens and teach you that being different isn't bad. It just means that, we just have to understand each other better and learn about each other and try to coexist. And then you've got the other part where you have these alien invaders coming to Earth, like in Critters, at the end of the 80s. They have these aliens coming to Earth that literally just want to wreak havoc, that want to destroy things and eat people. And it does show that there's a difference between how people are reacting to the situations going on around them in their actual lives.
And they're all important. They're all important stories, and they're all mirrors for us to look at, to be like, wow, hey, this was true, but this was also true. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people like aliens, because you can find something that feels like you, or you can find something to be afraid of. And it doesn't always have to be deep. It might just be like, ooh, I just like the way they look,
Yes, Jen said human nature through alien narratives.
Yep, exactly. It's just like if you wanted to study post-World War II America through comics. It gives you a real good, hard look at what we were like. You can do it with all kinds of media, and that's really neat. I just think that aliens are a fantastic either foil or mirror to us. But yeah, and you got to talk about critters, which you love.
Critters. Which I still kind of think is like
They are.
horror comedy.
Yeah. So Wicked really, really loves aliens and has seen some more alien movies than I have. So we're going to kind of segue out of the decades now. We did that for a little while because I thought that it would make it like a little bit easier to kind of talk about. But I think actually, yeah. Are there some that we didn't get to talk about during these decades that you really want to highlight? Just because they're cool aliens?
Well, I think once we get into the 90s and more towards now, there is a huge shift, like how you were talking about when we were discussing like race and gender and LGBTQ plus. There is a huge shift once you get into the 90s and farther because they're a little bit more aliens are sexy, as opposed to before, aliens are kind of something we should be suspicious of, something that is scary and interesting, but not sexy and not something that you really want to like involve yourself with. You kind of want to stay away. But Jen asked if we had brought up V. Uh, we kind of didn't because I personally didn't really watch V.
We didn't get to talk about it too much yet, no.
Yeah.
I was going to kind of tie that in more with later on because the way aliens are now is very interesting in comparison to the way they were. And so you have things like Earth Final Conflict, V, Defiance. These are shows where there are aliens coming in and they're thinking that they're going to be benevolent, that they're helping us out with things, or the aliens are coming in as like refugees, but mostly with like Final Conflict and V, which it was Earth Final Conflict and V came out afterwards, so it kind of makes sense. There's this like sort of trope about how the aliens have better tech and they're going to come in and help us out. And then it ends up being so much more insidious than you think. So
Yeah.
it kind of harkens back to that, oh my God, but who can we trust? Because in a lot of these aliens, like in V, they kind of end up looking more human. In Earth Final Conflict, they look very alien. And I have a picture of that in the last slide because it's one of my favorite shows. Which I'm due for a rewatch of, but I'm afraid it's not going to hold up as well now. But so it's like, ooh, they're scary. And then there are certain aliens that, of course, aren't scary, like that are there to help out, but they have complicated reasons and they have complicated backstories and they're fleshed out as people and not just as invaders. And in Defiance, what happens is there are worlds that are dying. So there are all these different races that have been knowing about each other and already have their own prejudices and their own eccentricities and everything like that, and feelings about each other. And they end up literally just a bunch of them crashing into Earth, and it messes with power grids, it messes with the infrastructure, and so you end up having this sort of dystopian world that humans are living in with these aliens. And some folks are like, oh, well, there's this group of aliens and they're very pale and they're very graceful and they're clearly like, the more aristocratic So humans tend to like to work with them more, but these aliens also think that humans are like disgusting and don't shower because they have an like very big, strong sense of smell. And then there are other ones that look less human, and they're like, ooh, they carry disease and they're bad, you know? So it's interesting when you get to things like Earth Final Conflict and V and Defiance that you have these complex, richly written aliens that are coming in with different circumstances, but are still being treated very similarly in some ways, if that makes sense.
Okay. Jen said, I'm also interested in the relationship between aliens and spirituality religion, like in Stargate, how humans make gods
Yeah.
out of the aliens.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that happens sometimes. Go on.
I think that there's different ways that people perceive aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is that like deity and like, oh my God, they're coming down here to help us. They're coming to give us technology, things like that. And they're kind of seen as these otherworldly people, but they're coming to help. But usually
Yeah.
those people, those aliens, still either look humanoid or act humanoid.
Yeah. Except
And
for like in Earth Final Conflict, they look kind of they're like the little gray people, but they're very tall and like long.
and then there's the aliens that they look at them as they are invaders. So it's kind of a weird way that people see them. Like take for example, like Mars Attacks. Like when the aliens first come to Earth, they think that they're there to like learn about things and like work things out, and they're trying to like communicate with them and talk to them. And then all of a sudden the aliens just start killing everyone.
Yeah.
So
I
it's go ahead.
You finish.
It's just one of those things where when you look at aliens, there's either it's going to help us or we should be suspicious of it. And I think that's really important because that's kind of how people's outlooks are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little on the more like, well, we should not go to that alien meeting and see what they want. Like,
I'm all for the alien meeting. This is
see,
one of the few times when we're not going to agree.
I am 100% not the lady with the sign on the top of the tower saying aliens welcome.
I am. I'm like, take me. I'm done.
I'm like, I'm gonna let y'all go first. I'll see what happens.
Which is odd. Okay, so Wicked and I tend to agree on a lot of things.
Yes.
So this is a little surprising to me that we are very polarized on this. We're going to have to tell the rest of the group and they're going to be shocked.
I mean, sometimes twins don't agree.
They don't, and it's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. I'll find out what happens. If it goes badly, then you can come save me.
Exactly. It's like a give and take. We both can't be there.
Exactly. And if it goes really well, then I can kind of sneak you in to help, like, get you what you need. Like, it's fine. It's
exactly.
fine.
We're working both options here.
It's better that way.
I'll come
have
save
both
you.
angles. Yeah.
I'll come save you if you need me, and then you'll let me in if I need it.
I will get you that alien medicine that you desperately need when they come. Yeah, I mean, and there are definitely, that is a trope that happens most of the time, Jen, in the things that I've seen when folks have started to worship aliens. It's been kind of a work on the aliens part, and it doesn't really end well. Like, that is a thing that happens in Earth Final Conflict, that there is a group of folks who do worship the Talons. And it ends up being a little bit more sinister than it should be. See, what else? I think it's interesting when humans look at alien religions in these shows and in these movies, and then those are what they pick up on, and like that's kind of more what they take away from it.
Yeah, and also I think just the existence of aliens in general bring up into question human religion. You
Yeah.
know, the fact that there's something out there other than us kind of makes you question, like, were gods, aliens? It's kind of, I feel like us trying to figure out our place in the world and how we would react if certain things happened. So I think it's a good way that, people are working through these questions that they have through media.
Yeah.
Because other people are going to have similar questions.
It's like the ancient old ones with Cthulhu. Like, they are not gods. They are beings from another world that came to Earth and were put to sleep. And then when they awaken, because somebody inevitably reads something or does something, then they wreak havoc and drive people crazy. And it's not great times, despite the fact that I want like a Cthulhu plushie. Like, it's
just don't read from the book ever.
Exactly. Just
don't read out loud.
Exactly.
If you find a book, just leave it there.
Or like It from It with Stephen King. It is not a clown. It is a creature from a different world. Because if you know about the Stephen King universe, and you've read like the Dark Tower series, and you know about like the Man in Black and things like that, you know that there are multiple worlds within the Stephen King universe, and they are connected and able to go back and forth with the tower. So it is a creature from somewhere else that somehow got onto Earth and then is able to shapeshift and wreak havoc. So I don't know. I feel like we didn't entirely answer your question, Jen. And I think it's just because there aren't a lot of examples of it that I've seen.
They said, not a question, just a nerd out.
Oh, just a thing to ramble? Good. I love it. I think it would, I don't know. I think I would have to have some conversations with aliens before I could really go any further. I think it's always interesting to be open to see what their religions would be like and to see the similarities and differences, because humans have so many different kinds of religions. And yes, there are common threads throughout, but there are also big differences in them. And they're meant to be a comfort and a place for answers. So if aliens were to come and they were creatures that, or beings that gave us comfort and answers, I'm sure that there would be a lot of folks who would either convert to their religion or would start worshiping them.
Yeah. Especially if it's something where you're already on the fence and you have this being coming from literally outside of Earth, just coming and sitting down saying, like, hey, look, I've done all these things. I can do all these other things. We have 6 gods and they do this. And, oh, your puny little planet and everything. Like, it really puts you into perspective of where you are in the universe. So just the fact that if an alien exists, it kind of like brings everything we know into question.
And that wouldn't be bad.
No. I do think that human nature is going to fuck us if there are aliens. Just because there are going to be the groups who are like, yeah, let's go talk to them. Let's figure out what's going on. There's going to be the group of people who are like me, wait and see what happens. And then there's going to be the people that are in the back with the guns going, let's kill them all.
They're coming for our jabs.
They're coming for our kidneys. So it is
y'all.
it is very interesting
Yeah.
the different reactions portrayed in media when these aliens are coming to Earth. Um, so I think it's just a really interesting way to look at human nature.
And another part of human nature is romance. Unless we have another question or comment first. Did we?
Riley said, "I guess I'm back."
I guess I'm back. Welcome back, Riley. That sweet, sweet alien love. Listen, I'm not judging anybody. But it is a trope that's happening. It started in Star Trek. Like Spock's mother is human, his father is Vulcan. And through Star Trek, we've seen a lot more of that, of humans and aliens coming together. And then, of course, like we said, it kind of started in, we got a little bit of romance in Doctor Who.
Yep.
But nothing really like what the CW wants to give us.
The CW was trying hard.
For years, because so before it was the CW, it was WB.
Yes.
And that is where we get the OG, Max and Liz.
Yes.
Who, how many of us, our hearts are with them forever.
I mean, I was a Michael girl, so.
I was too. I preferred Michael. I still prefer Michael.
I still prefer Michael too.
The new one and in the old one. But so if you're looking for something with a little bit of romance in it, it is getting a lot easier to find. I'm really sad because, okay, so I started Star-Crossed and it's not great.
Oh,
I
no.
actually really wish that they would remake it with the same idea and just tweak the writing, tighten it up, and recast. Just with slightly stronger actors. The idea behind that is that a ship crashed, and instead of being very welcoming about it, humans put all of the aliens basically in like a quarantine. Like they built walls, they gave them this space, and that is where they live, and they're not allowed to be coming out of there. Despite the fact that humans are taking advantage of the medical and the technological advances that the aliens have brought. And because the aliens are just so grateful to be there, there's, up until this point in the show, there isn't a lot of like fighting back or rebellion. And so, of course, the government decides to try and integrate some of the schools. And we end up with some romance and with a lot of drama and with a lot of questions and that little bit of rebellion of, why should I just be grateful to be given some concrete? You know,
Jen said it's like a Disney Plus zombie show sans music.
it is exactly like zombies. But it had such a great premise. And I'm a sucker for things like that, where you're on opposite sides and you find love. And so I really wish that they would just take it back, tighten it up, recast, and let's see what we could get from that. It's, of course, a play on Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. I mean, Pyramus and Thisbe. I mean, the same story that has been being told legitimately since ancient Rome. Tristan and Isolde, you know. But I love it. I love that trope. Again, we talked about Defiance a little bit. There's a lot of humans kind of falling for aliens. And then there's the taboos of different aliens falling for different aliens. And it does play a part a little bit in the show. Defiance has so much going on. It's amazing. Highly recommend. We talked a little bit about Roswell, which has been remade by the CW. I enjoy both. I have not finished season 2 of Roswell, New Mexico yet. But I know Wicked doesn't like the fact that now they're adults. I like the fact that the new one is them as adults because it gives you a different idea of what is that relationship like when you're not forced to just be in the bubble of high school where you have to hang out together, you know?
It's for me, it's not so much that they are like adults. It's
Mhm.
just like I feel like they interject a lot of things that take away from what is going on. So like there's so much going on with them like in the first one,
Uh-huh.
you kind of learn with uh my brain just blanked.
Um,
What's her
wow.
name?
The main Liz?
Liz. So in
Yeah.
the first one, you kind of learn with Liz, like what's
Yeah.
going on and what's happening. So it's kind of like you're more integrated into it.
Yeah.
Whereas like with the new one, it's just like this is what it is, deal with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that because that's for what it is like for adults.
Sure.
And I think that because they're using aliens as a gateway to talk to about other things as well, because they talk about citizenship and they talk about racism and they talk about mental illness and they talk about homosexuality and they talk about child abuse and trauma, drug addiction. Like there's a lot going on in that show, and then there are also aliens on top of it. And the alien storyline goes hand in hand with all the other storylines.
Jen said True Blood in space.
True Blood. It's on Earth, Jen, because they crashed too. Whereas with it, I think it's also just a different time period.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't do all of that with the original Roswell. And they definitely did a lot with the original Roswell. Like, I love it, don't get me wrong.
Jen
And
said, but True Blood on Earth, but with aliens was longer
there
to
you
type.
go. It was. It was. So it's neat. I mean, so if you're looking for that as a way to watch aliens, there's plenty of options with it. There's also Crimson's not here. We can get away with it. The host, and I am number
4.
4.
So there
Um,
are different types of alien movies for everyone. Oh, Kinky said the Fifth Wave.
Fifth Wave. That's the other one. I'm like, too many of them have numbers.
Yeah.
Like young adult alien
Has to have
stuff.
a number in the title.
Please stop putting numbers in your titles.
Kinky said they all came out around the same time.
They did. They did. That was a big trope that was happening around the same time as like the Hunger Games and at the tail end of Twilight. And it's neat and it's valid. Because it's a different way of talking about things, but putting aliens in it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are the same things we were talking about before. So here you go. Like for Earth Final Conflict, this is kind of what they looked like. They were very tall and stuff like that. And then, of course, we have kid things like Lilo and Stitch, which is love and found family.
Then we have the Fifth Element.
Multipass.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
So good.
But I think that there's such a different variety of horror movies, like especially like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like that movie terrified me as a child.
Yeah,
Like putting people into cotton candy balls and then sucking their life forces out. Like that is terrifying.
it's true.
So there are so many different ways that aliens are portrayed that you can literally pick any kind you want. If you want to go for horror, you can. If you want to go for comedy, you can. If you want to go for romance, if you want to go for action, there's just action alien movies as well. So it is a thing that like anybody could find something in aliens to love.
Yeah.
Yes, Lilu
It's
Dallas Multipass.
that's it's so good. It's just such a fun thing. And I think aliens themselves, we just don't know very much. And I believe
Well, that's where the fun is.
yeah.
You know, being able to look outside of yourself and outside of what you know to see if there's other things out there that can influence your culture. Like a lot of the alien movies are about bringing in aliens and seeing how we can coexist. Whether that works or it doesn't, you know, that's where you get either the horror or the comedy.
Yeah. But it's good. They're good mirrors for us. Yeah. We just really like aliens. I don't think we can say it enough.
I personally am more into the horror aspect of aliens. I love that being terrified, you know, sitting there in the darkness with things slithering around and you're like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And again, I will never forget the first time I saw a chest burster.
Well, Jen, we fooled ya because we're not an anti-alien panel. There, no refunds, no refunds.
No refunds. We love
You get your
aliens.
sticker and you get your T-shirt, and we're all going to Roswell later. Yeah,
But oh, go ahead.
no, just messing.
I was just gonna say aliens in media and movies and TV, you know, there's such a wide variety of it. Like whereas with zombies, like it's usually horror, except for Warm Bodies, which was like zombie love story.
So cute.
It was a good movie, don't get me wrong. But aliens are one of those categories where you can find almost anything for everyone.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up. Thank you so much for being in our panel. We love you. Live long, prosper, Alonzi. Stay tuned, folks. We got lots of fun stuff happening. And thank you. We love you.
Bye.
Bye. Wait, who's coming up next? Is what, 6 o'clock? We've got a Kingdom Hearts panel.
Yep.
I wonder who's gonna do that.
I wonder,
Oh my goodness.
could it possibly be the person with Keyblade in their title?
You know, I think it just might be. Oh gosh, I've got this up. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just doing something real quick.
Yeah. So stick around with Iris. She is a phenomenal streamer. She knows so much about this. And she's also just a great person. She's my friend.
You're a great person too, Thea.
Okay.
Well, I am going to go join Riley.
Right. You're going to be streaming. So if some of y'all want to go see Dead by Daylight, we've got that happening too. So I'm going to take a short break.
Love you all. Make sure you take your break.
Yes.
I will.
Bye.
Drink water, eat food, take care of yourselves. I have the presentation ready. I just want to get my notes all figured out because I definitely didn't just put this together on the fly. Nope.
Listen, some of mine are put together and some of them are not. The anime one was very put together. This one was put together because I knew Wicked was going to be here too, so I didn't want to just force her to do everything I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And then there are others where we're doing it live, and that's okay. That's TogetherCon.
I was very impressed by how put together your anime panel
Thank
was.
you.